the most important thing that I want to try to evoke tonight is an emotional experience. Yeah? So in that reading that Chantika made just before we started meditating tonight, Bhante is talking about the aesthetics, that aesthetical appreciation, that that experience of being in front of something and just letting yourself contemplate, just letting yourself being exposed. Yeah, in a way, if you want to use a sort of more evoking language, sort of being naked in front of something, yeah, without barriers. So first of all, the exploring to begin with, or the principle that we're going to be exploring is that of the mandala. Yeah, and that there is that quote from a Tibetan teacher, Rongsapa Chokye Sampo, that says that to make a mandala is to take any prominent aspect of reality and surround it with beauty. Yeah. So the most immediate mandala that we have right now in front of us, if you have your screens in the grid mode, and you can see all the faces in your screen, that's immediately in front of you, there is a mandala. Yeah. So we are coming together tonight around something, a prominent aspect of reality, if you want, which is this experience of something beyond that the Nottingham Buddhist Center and the Nottingham Sangha embodies. Yeah. And each of you is an aspect of beauty, a piece of beauty, yeah, forming a mandala. So if you take a screenshot of your tonight, you have for this Sangha. And the interesting thing with mandala, they come together, they have a moment, and then they disappear. And that's good, what's going to happen with our mandala tonight as well. And this mandala is not going to repeat. Yeah, even if we are the same people, just exactly the same people next week coming together, which is unlikely to happen. We all are in mood. Yeah, we're probably going to be dressing differently. We're going to be probably different, connecting from a different space. So the peculiarities, the particular details of this moment in time are unique. Yeah. And that's something very important about a mandala. In a way, the mandala challenges our perception of time. I really like that thing that Kemasiri said just when she was warming up in meditation, you know, how the experience of time, the perception of time changes depending of your mental state. Yeah. So there is a more sort of accepted form of mandala, which is this one that you can see in your screens now. Yeah. So you can see it's a group of circles. Yeah. A bunch of circles. They are concentric, so they are all around each other. But there is one in particular that is at the center. Yeah. And a very interesting thing to look at when we think of mandalas is what is at the center of the mandala. What is that brings everything together? Yeah. So the mandala that I'm going to be exploring very generally, I'm not going to be looking at the details, you know, the specifics of all the symbolism because it's very rich. But the mandala we're going to be exploring tonight is that of what is traditionally called the 5 Buddha mandala, which is really just half of it. Yeah. When we look at this mandala, we need to remember that there are 5 male Buddhas and there are 5 female Buddhas. So I'm going to show you a couple of images. I'm going to share my screen with you now. I need the host to give me permission to do this. So maybe if you make me the host quickly. Yeah, thank you. Okay. So I want to show you a couple of, can everybody see the mandala in the screen? The image in the screen? Somebody make a noise because I cannot see.
Yes. Yeah,
Great.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at this one first. So this is a very traditional representation of the five Buddha mandala. So you have the male Buddhas here. And if you can see there, there is not, they're sort of, each of them has its own, their own sphere. And there is not a bigger sphere enclosing them. Yeah? So it's a cosmos around that. Many different representations of this five Buddha mandala in internet just by Googling. But these two that I'm going to show you tonight are two that you are not going to find in internet. So this one was made by Manjugita, who is a very good friend of mine. She's a Mexican Dharmacharini, and she came to Nottingham in December, and she was leading sort of a Christmas intensive meditation session for us. So that's one, and this is the other one, which is made by our own Mandy Hibbert. Let me just. So in this one, you can see that there is a circle. It's more clear. There is a circle at the center, and then you can see the pairs of Buddhas. So you have Buddhas of 5 different colors, both male and female. And they are in 5 different directions, if you want, of a space. So I'm going back, if I can. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let me see. Okay, stop sharing. That's it. Sorry for that. So those 2 images are very flat. They are 2-dimensional. Yeah. But you need to think of the mandala as something that is 3-dimensional. Yeah, it's in a space. So we need to relate to this with our imagination. Yeah. So the most important thing that I want to say here is the mandala. That mandala that we just saw is a representation of our ideal mind. Yeah? So that mind is already in us. If you want the seed of those figures, the seeds of those colors, the seed of that energy that has been refined and purified is in us already. Yeah. So I will like you to think in terms of that, in terms of energy tonight. What we are trying to do with a spiritual life, with this spiritual journey, if you want, is to bring as much as our control that energy. Yeah? But look at the way I'm talking. I'm talking as if we are doing something that starts in a point and finishes in a point A and finishes in point B. But the mandala is something very different altogether. Yeah. So we are trying to think not in those terms of linear time. We're going to try to think in terms of something that is complete, wholesome, and is present here and now. In a way, when we think of time in those terms of past, present, and future, we are in a point in between those 2 extremes, and we are constantly facing some ghosts, the ghosts of the past and the ghosts of the future. Yeah? And if we are not careful, if we are a bit dislocated, disconnected from what is going on right now in our experience, we are also facing the ghost of the present. Yeah? We are not fully in our experience. So what I'm trying to say with this? Well, we are right now going through a very peculiar time. Yeah, most of us have been probably in lockdown, experiencing, an intensity that is very unusual for us. And what we are left with, if we are not getting too distracted, or even if we get distracted, yeah, because we cannot avoid it for too long, what we are left with is the content of our mind. The past coming back probably about the future, thinking about the future, disconnecting us from the present moment. So what we're trying to do with the mandala is to try to see the experience of the present moment, but complete and full, beyond time. So you can think of that mandala I just show you as a journey through stages, or something that is happening all together right now. There so much that I want to share, and I just aware that I have just like 5 minutes to finish. So there's something very important that, and what I want to introduce are general things that that will be good for us to explore tonight. Yeah? So we talk about pairs. Yeah, there are males. When you see these two pairs together, they are represented in this posture, which is called Japyon. Yeah. So they are in sexual union. Yeah. But this is not, it's not sexual coitus, as we know it. This is something different altogether. So all this is tend to work in terms of opposites. Yeah? We think of something, and there's probably some that opposite to that. So when we think, for example, of a quality like wisdom, we might associate with wisdom some particular features. Yeah, like wisdom is something that in the Buddhist tradition, for example, is say that wisdom is something that cuts through ignorance. Yeah, it's something very, very vigorous. It's very strong. Yeah. And we might have certain associations with those qualities of energy, of strength. Yeah. In the Buddhist tradition, when we think of a quality, there is always something that complements that quality. So for example, enlightenment sometimes is described as the combination of wisdom and compassion. So you cannot have just wisdom, you need something else. In this mandala that we just saw, we have the perfect balance, the perfect integration of all those different ideas of opposites coming together. Yeah. So another way of looking at the mandala is a very powerful symbol. I'm introducing a few symbols tonight. Maybe that some of these symbols are new for you. But what is interesting, but how you respond. Just notice how you respond to these images that I'm showing you. Yeah? And that will be very interesting to look at in the groups. So another symbol is this symbol of the double Vajra. Yeah? You probably have seen Vajras, which is this image of a thunderbolt, yeah, or a diamond, which is represented usually like this. So there is something at the center and there's two strings, but the double Vajra is the combination of two axes, yeah, coming together. So it's the same principle. If you think in this, looking at this image, there is a mandala with a center, and there are aspects that are perfectly balanced. So probably another mandala, yeah? Another circle with many different circles. And something that is said about the wheel of life is that it is a mirror. It represents our mind as it is right now. But you can look at the 5 Buddha mandala, or this mandala with those all those 10 figures, and you can look at that as a mirror as well. But what that mirror is representing is your potential. And your potential is not something that is there, is somewhere in the future. It's here and now. Yeah. So, for example, you might respond to some of these figures more strongly than to others. You might respond, for example, to the color green more strongly than to the color red. You start looking at the symbolism of that, you start to understand more fully of you, the certain aspects of your own energy. Yeah. So I'm going to give you a tour, a very quick tour through the mandala, just to enlighten those different aspects. Yeah. So the mandala usually starts, those 4 points in a space, they can be the cardinal points as well. So usually start in the east, and it starts with Achovia and Loshana. So Achovia is the male figure, and Loshana is the female figure. And what is very interesting, this is the main point that I want to make, is that each of these pairs of Buddhas, they are associated that they transform into a kind of wisdom. Yeah. So poison can be transformed into wisdom in the Buddhist tradition. So the poison that they transform is hatred. Yeah. And they transform that into the mirror-like wisdom. I'm not going to say much about that because we can spend a lot of time, but these are the main points I want to say. So we move to the south in the mandala, and that's the color yellow. And those are Ratnasambhava, the male Buddha, and Mamaki, the female Buddha. And they transform the poison of pride into the wisdom of equality. If we move to the west in the mandala, the color red, and we have the red Buddhas, Amitabha and Pandaravasini, and they transform the poison of passion or desire into the distinguishing wisdom. Then we move to the north in the mandala, the green Buddhas, which are Amoghasiddhi and Aryatara or green Tara, and they transform the poison of envy in the all-accomplishing wisdom. So you can find more information about this wisdom just by researching, just by reading some books. There is a lot of literature. There's a lot of very good talks in Free Buddhist Audio that you can look at. But the main principle is that of transforming something like we regard as a poison into the complete opposite, yeah? A way of cutting through ignorance. And the last one, at the center of the mandala, are the white Buddhas, Vairoshana and Akashadastri Varvi. That's a difficult one to say. And they transform the poison of ignorance into the wisdom of the Dharma Dhatu. So one way of looking at the poisons, and I'm going to finish with this, is that if you have been coming to our classes, you have done an introductory course with us, we usually talk about hindrances in meditation. So hindrances are energies, mental states that usually block our development. Yeah. A quick look at the hindrances. So there are 5 hindrances: doubt and indecision, sense desire, ill will, anxiety and restlessness, and sloth and torpor. And it might be that one of these hindrances is stronger in you than the other. But the most important thing here is that hindrances, poisons, can be transformed. They are not a permanent feature of our experience. So if you apply your energies long enough, you're going to see results. You're going to see that moving along. The most important thing that we need to do around the hindrances is recognize them, but not identify with them. Yeah. So don't think that because a particular shape of energy is very predominant in your experience, that's who you are. Yeah. That in a way who you are is something that you need to, is still to unfold, to be discovered. Enough, I think somebody was asking about the East. So those are the blue Buddhas, Achovia and Loshana. So I think that's enough for tonight. But the most important thing for the groups is to explore this non-rational side of our experience. Yeah. Rational response to these images that I just showed you. And sorry, it has been very brief, but I just wanted to bring these general principles. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the evening.